today I'm in the workshop, and what I've done is I've bought 3 of these slates from Poundland, and I'm going to turn one into a cheese board, one into a decorative piece, and one into a door sign. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the cheese board first, and for the cheese board I just need some pallet wood, which I've got here. 2 pieces of leftover pallet wood from an old project. And what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to use the chop saw, and I'm going to level them off out so that they're both the same size, because this is going to sit behind the slate. I've also got another piece of just wood that I found in the workshop, which I'm going to cut in half, and these are going to be the bits that batten the wood together before I sand down the wood, stain the wood, and Gorilla Glue the tile to the top with a decal. So just follow along while I do project 1, and then we'll move on to project 2. So I've cut one, sorry I didn't get it on camera, and I'm just cutting the second one so that just to match the same measurements as the one I've got. So I'm just measuring it out on the chop saw. It doesn't need to be perfect. I've got my 2 bits of wood for the bottom of where the slate's going to go. They need a good sand, and we'll get to that in a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this batten. I'm going to measure this batten, and I'm just going to cut it in half. In fact, I'm just going to eyeball it. Yeah, I would say that's about right. These are going to be the 2 battens that go on the back, which will make sort of feet for the piece of slate. So what I need to do now is I need to screw them all together, and then I'll give them a right good sand. So I'm just going to move the camera over, and you can see me screwing them together. I'm going to drill some pilot holes and put some wood glue in it, and just screw these bits together. Then I'll give them a good sanding down and a good stain, and that'll be I'll move all the indoor projects indoors. So that's what I'm going to do with these. But before I do that, I have an idea. Just 1 minute. I'm not sure if I can do this, but I've got this old rolling pin. I've just given it a wash. It used to be in my clay stash for ceramics, but I want to make almost a handle for this one with the rolling pin. Now, I don't know if I can do this. There's lots of different ways, and I have all the tools at my disposal, but I want to make it that people at home can do it. So, I mean, I know not everybody has a chop saw, but if you just saw it in half first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to saw it down the middle, and I'm hoping that there's not that metal rod doesn't go all the way down the middle. Maybe I should investigate that first before I do it. I'll take the handle off. Yeah, see, good job I checked. So I want to saw this piece in half. I don't think there's any metal. No, I think it's just wood. So I'm going to saw this piece in half. So now I have 2 pieces of rolling pin, but problem, I need to try and cut this to the length to fit the handle back in, or I can simply just glue this handle back on. I think I'll probably just wood glue this back onto the end. Now the next problem I have is I want to saw almost a neck so that the handle will fit on here. So I'm going to have to move the camera, because I'm going to put it in the vise over on the worktop and just cut it, I think, with a saw, probably about this far down, so that I can then slip this onto it and glue it onto the slate. Now that's the plan. Whether it works out like that, I really don't know. But I'm going to pause the camera and we'll reconvene over the other side of the workshop. Okay, so just off camera I did the same thing for the wooden sign. I cut 3 pieces of pallet wood, 2 pieces of batten, so that when, imagine these were on the back, so that when I do the sign can be glued on, and I'll do 2 screw holes at the top for the sign. So you know what we're doing with the sign. This is the battening and back for the chopping board, and these are going to act as little feet, as a little riser. Now I'm going to take you off camera and show you the rolling pin situation I've got going on. So we have a very old vise, and the vise is the best place to put something like this. So I've placed this in here, and I'm just going to get a saw, and I'm just going to saw across here. We'll see if I can manage to do it. I can't really give you an angle on this. I'll try, but I'll probably just have to put the camera down. It's just that there's nowhere over at this side of the room that I can actually put the camera, but I'm about to get the saw, so we'll see how I go. Wish me luck. I'm just giving you an update of how far I've managed to get. So I'm this far down the rolling pin. I'm going to stop soon, and then I'm going to try and figure out a way of trying to sort of widen it up so the slate fits in. Okay, so what I did was I sawed down it, but I ended up having to get a chisel, and what I did was I just chiseled out enough of a groove. Now it is still quite tight for my slate, so I'm gonna do this in camera, and I'll probably regret it, and if I do I won't show you anyway. But I'm going to try. It's so tight, but it's nearly there, so I'm going to just try and knock it onto the top of the tile if I can. So I want it kind of central. Now it could end up smashing the tile, so we'll just see how we go. Yeah, it is going. I think it just needs a little bit more. Brute force a wee bit more actually. Now this is the first time I've done anything like this, so just to make sure when you're doing this, I would be really careful. Careful if you have a chisel, but obviously careful that you don't smash your tile when you're hammering this on. Now I've got about this much more to go, so I'm just going to try and I hope you can see, I'm just going to try and get the rest. Now I'm not hitting it hard, I'm just kind of almost tapping it. We're nearly there. Just 1 more inch. Yep, I've got it on. Right to the edge. Now I'm really pleased with that so far. And remember, we're going to glue the rolling pin end back on, and we'll stain this. I think before I do anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole through the rolling pin end so that when I glue it on we can put a bit of twine. So I'll just point the camera down while we get that done. I think I need to swap batteries out in the camera for 1 minute. So it's me just going to drill the end of this. That's my hole drilled, and I'll give that a wee sand when I sand everything else. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to put the battening on these boards. Let's try and get you a good angle for this. There we go. We'll be moving into the studio soon, and it'll be better in there. So what am I going to do with these? So I'll need to pause the camera, I'll go get screws and wood glue. I'm getting ridiculous now. So this is me got my battening ready. I've got my wood glue, I've found screws. Now remember, when you're screwing anything, make sure that it's not going to come through the other side. Check that first. I'm not brilliant at woodwork. Martin will watch this video and having a absolute hairy fit, but it's encompassing crafts today, so we're working with wood. So we're just getting on with it. So 2 pieces of pallet board cut in half and 2 pieces to batten it down, which I'm going to stain and use as feet when we turn it over and we glue our slate to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill some pilot holes either end of the battening, and the same on the other one. Right, I need some wood glue. And think about where your positioning are, because remember these are going to act as little feet on your chopping board. So I think actually I want mine slightly out a wee bit, about there would be good for me. I'm just eyeballing it. Get your screws ready in the holes. And I've checked that they're not going to go through, or at least I think I did. I need to change the battery over onto screwdriver. So kind of eyeball it, straighten it up. And the same with the other side. There. So this is our battening, and remember our other piece of tile is going to sit in the middle of this and make a cheese board. But I've just thought of something I might quite like to do with it. I think I might quite like to put some drill holes so that I can put some, or do I? No, I don't. Right, and we need to do this one next. This is the one that's going to be the, I'm not going to bother, this is thin battening, so I'm not going to bother doing pilot holes on that, but I am going to put wood glue on it. Now, I think if Martin was here, it would say it probably needs 3 of these, but...
So that's me got the battening on the back,
so
and now what I'm doing is I'm just using a drill to drill some drill holes at the top, just so that the sign can be hung up. And then what I'm doing is I actually had to do a voiceover on this part because I realised how noisy this whole video had been. And what I'm actually doing now is just sanding everything, sanding all of my pieces and all of my signs and my cheese board, everything. Just getting it all sanded.
And I'm going to stain the edges, so we'll go round to outside the house now where I've got our sheet out, and we can, I'll show you me staining this. This here is going to be the garden sign. I didn't overly sand it, I just took the rough bits off the edges. We're going to stain that. And what I'm going to do out here in the shed, and I'll take it indoors, is I'm just going to use some wood glue to attach back the end of a rolling pin, which I think I will probably end up painting. It's because there's a hole in it. I think I'm going to have to sit it up. So I'll take this indoors. Whoop. I'll take this indoors and let it dry off so that we can get it painted up. And I'll be round the corner in a minute. So I brought them round here for painting. This one here is going to be the riser cheese board. This one's here going to be the outdoor sign, and the other one's currently drying upside down so that its handle glues on with the wood glue, just enough that I can paint it so I can let it dry. And here's the slate that I'm going to be sticking on, and I'm using no nails glue and some stain that I use from other projects. It's just watered down acrylic. So I'm going to get on and do that, and then I'm going to glue just, well, you'll see me, I'll set up the camera to be gluing on the slate.
Glue down flat. So I'm applying Gorilla Glue. Now I actually went a little bit crazy. There was a little bit of seepage of this. I managed to fix it, but I actually put too much on. I'm showing you that that's Gorilla Glue. It's the expandable one, and I think that's the problem. So I've cut out a stencil with my cameo silhouette, and it's just about cheese, because obviously it's a cheese board. Sorry, my head's in the way. I'm trying new camera angles at the moment just so I can kind of obviously film better footage, but I'm still new to this, so I try my best. I'm just scraping it down, making sure. Now, it was quite tricky to get it to stick to the slate, I've got to be honest. There was a lot of to-ing and fro-ing and shimmying back and forward trying to get it done, but I got it there in the end. So I've got my stencil stuck down, and this is me. What I'm doing is I'm using a makeup sponge and an off-white and a white, and I'm kind of mixing them through the stencil. Now, I've got to admit, this is the first thing that bleed through was hugely obvious. It's not the end of the world, and maybe only I would notice it, but I didn't like it. I thought it there wasn't much I could do. I can put Mod Podge on it. It is going to be sprayed with food safe varnish, so I had to be really, kind of like, I couldn't just, put Mod Podge and all different things on it to stop the bleed. But there was a little bits that I wasn't happy with, but I mean, you might not be able to see it. Well, I had always intended, because I'd left a little space down the corner when I'd done the words, to just kind of hand paint a little mouse, the little nibbler, cheese and company, finest cheddar. So I was kind of going with it. So I was just kind of doing a sort of kind of fun little mouse detail down there in the corner. I just painted that in with acrylic. And as I said, at the end, this will all be sealed with food safe varnish. So we should be good. So I'm hoping that you like that one, and that one's done. So now we're moving on to the rolling pin handle, and I've got some black chalk paint, and here I am just painting in the handle with black chalk paint. I think it looks nice in the green. Even though I like the green, I just want to kind of tie it all in together and make it one uniformed piece. So that's what I'm doing here. So I've applied my second stencil onto the decor chopping board kind of thingy, and what I'm doing is, because this is decor, is I'm just running some Mod Podge down in my stencil just to see if that helps with bleed through. Now, if it was anything else, I'd add plaster of Paris, my new way of stopping bleed through, but I didn't want to do it on the slate, so I just went with the more cautious option, which was this one. So this is what you can see me doing here. So the Mod Podge is completely dry, and what I've done is I've mixed up a sort of light grey paint. I'm using the remainder white and a little bit of black, and I'm going into my stencil and I'm going round it kind of a couple of times. That's my second coat there, just to make sure that I've got it all in all the stencil. And that's it applied, and now I'm peeling it off, and I'm just going to weed out all the bits that I don't want. So now I'm just flipping it over, and the hole where I had drilled earlier, I am just putting like a kind of double thickness of twine, kind of rustic, tying it in a knot and then tying in a loop. And that's that one done now. So on to the third sign. I must apologise about the light. My studio, the light can be really shiny at some parts in the day, but I wanted to get this finished, so I hope you kind of forgive me this part. I'm going to put a bit of masking tape across the slate, just so that I know that my words grow are going to be all straight. Now, originally I was going to put my house name on it, or you can put whatever you want on your piece of slate. I just decided that I was going to hang mine up in the garden, so I wanted the word grow. And once I've done that, I'm just using white acrylic to stencil it. And once I've done that, I've got some green acrylic paint, which I'm mixing with some of the white off camera. And I've decided to stencil some ferns on the tile and onto the wood surround all the way around. I'm just removing that bit of masking tape there because it was stopping me stenciling. So I'm just doing the tile and the piece of wood all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm just moving my fern stencil around so that I've got a sort of kind of different sort of profile. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some other stencils that I've got, and I'm just stenciling some other sort of greenery around it, just to give it a bit of interest. It just finishes it off and makes it look quite nice. So I've got different sort of greenery here. I think these are actually herb stencils, but for the sake of this sign, I think they look like greenery, so we're all good. I'm just rotating the sign round and round, making sure I'm doing the kind of wooden bits and the tiles, just to give it a bit of interest. That's me again with the fern, making sure that I'm kind of like I've got it positioned with both my fingers, and I'm doing the tile and the wood. And I'm trying at this point in time to try and kind of get a different colour of green. So as you can see, this is much greener. I was wanting a little bit greener on this one. And flipping it around to do the top edge of the sign. I'm just repeating sort of randomly as we go around the sign, just to kind of like give it some interest and some more of that sort of herby sort of greenery that I've got. And this time I used a really light green, almost kind of like really pale, just so there's like different shades of green. And finishing off at the end of the fern, and then that's it. But then I decide, okay, well, I'm going to put the string in it as well, but I also decide later on that I'd kind of like to highlight the words grow, but because of the tile's texture, my acrylic pen wasn't really working so well on it. But I did sort of a little bit sort of highlights on the word grow, and I also put some little white dots, which I think gave it a sort of really finished kind of cute look. So that's the string tied on, making sure that I've done it really tightly. I don't know why I'm holding it upside down, just obviously to prove that it's quite strong. So this is me going in with the white and then realising that it wasn't going to kind of adhere on that sort of surface. So what I do is I keep kind of just getting little bits of highlights here and there on my word grow. Now, if you've enjoyed this video today and you want to see more, please feel free to subscribe. And if you think that somebody else might enjoy this, share it, see what they think about it. And if you're enjoying it and you want to see more, push the bell so that you can be notified when we do a new video, Martin and I. And just keep an eye out for more crafts from us. We do all sorts of things. I sometimes do things in the house like shelf decorating, but we can do big makes. Martin and I do Fun Day Sunday, which is big upcycles with things we have. We make things out of pallets. We show you how to do all sorts of things. So if you found this by chance, then go and have a look at our videos. We've got loads of them. So here we are. I've just thought I'd kind of do a quick video of the sort of finished signs. So thank you for watching.